Welcome to That Video Game Show. Today we're talking about some of the must-have games for the PlayStation 4. As always, this is just my opinion, so feel free to let me know your choices in that comment box below. I've spent quite a lot of time with Final Fantasy 15, and after ploughing nearly 100 hours into the game, I can safely say without a doubt in my mind that Final Fantasy 15 is a return to form for a series that has been going through something of an identity crisis for many years. Don't get me wrong, there are certain aspects of the game that will make you question what the hell they were thinking, mainly in the form of the crushingly mundane side quests, or some of the serious shortcomings in the game's narrative. But what we have on offer here is an enjoyable adventure. In order to appreciate it fully, I highly recommend that you check out the Final Fantasy 15 film Kingsglaive, as well as the anime Brotherhood, which both do a good job in filling in some of the blanks that the game unfortunately decides to leave out. One of the most enjoyable characteristics of the game is its combat. Noctis has the ability to warp during battle, which will see you blasting in from great distances to deliver devastating blows to your enemies. The way in which MP is handled within the game is also a fresh concept that keeps every battle feeling new as you swing from warp points that replenish your MP after using magic or actions that require it. 15 is a huge improvement over the unforgivable train wreck that was Final Fantasy 13. Somewhat of a hidden gem on the PlayStation 4, Tearaway is a series that began life on the PlayStation Vita and was brought to us by the same minds who created Little Big Planet, Media Molecule. The game takes place in a vibrant world made almost entirely out of paper as you take control of our hero who is tasked with delivering a message to a portal in the sky known as the U. Due to this portal appearing, evil creatures have begun to occupy the world who are known as scraps. The gameplay revolves around manipulating the environment to overcome the confrontations with the scraps by rotating platforms, triggering bounce pads, illuminating objects, and hurling items all contribute to your progression and add to the godlike fashion of your presence in the world. Tearaway Unfolded finally puts the touchpad on the DualShock 4 to use and requires you to draw some of the game's items on the pad for them to appear in the game. I really like this feature, but it was a lot easier on the Vita version, mainly due to the larger drawing space available when comparing the touchpad to a touchscreen. Another interesting feature is the use of the DualShock 4's light bar that helps to illuminate certain parts of the world when pointing the controller at the screen. Again, another cool little feature that helps you connect with the world that bit more. Overall, Tearaway Unfolded is a great platformer that unfortunately has gone by unnoticed. Go and check it out. Drive Club is a really divisive game. There are people who swear by it and others who wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. And it's not hard to see why, as when the game was launched it was nothing other than a fucking mess. And unfortunately this is what most people consider when talking about the game now. Revisiting Drive Club all this time later, it is clear to see the amount of love and effort that has gone into redeeming one of the more promising PS4 launch titles. You would be doing a disservice to yourself by completely writing this game off without going back to check it out. One of the aspects of Drive Club I love the most has to be the clubs in which you can either create or join. During each race you are presented with several objectives that will contribute to your club's reputation. Having a few friends who are serious about the game really makes the experience better, as you will constantly try to add to your club's reputation to become the best. The most important characteristic of any driving game has to be its gameplay, and Drive Club does not disappoint. You won't find yourself slipping and sliding all over the fucking place like Ridge Racer or coming up against unforgivingly realistic handling. It's more of a hybrid between the two. As you can see, the game is gorgeous, and with the amount of content that has been added with several free updates, you will find it hard to run out of things to do. Developed by Rage Quit Corporation and released in 2016, Strike Vector EX is a game that's all about over-the-top aerial combat that harkens back to the arcade style of the past. You'll take control of a Vector, an insanely fast mech that has the ability to transform between two modes of flight, the first being a jet and the latter feeling more like something straight from Zone of the Enders. Each mode has their own advantages for each situation that presents itself, and finding the right balance between the two becomes quite enjoyable as you dart around the screen in style. Where this game really shines is within its level design, that at points is nothing short of genius. There are so many choices to take when navigating the maps, with plenty of tight spaces as well as open areas that all allow for some insane combat that all looks beautiful at a solid 60 frames per second. The game does include a single player campaign, but do not expect much as it can be completed very quickly. The voice acting is about as solid as a sponge and it all feels very generic, but that's not what this game is about. It's all about the gameplay, and if aerial combat is your thing, Strike Vector will not disappoint. Resident Evil Remake was originally a game that appeared on the Nintendo GameCube back in 2002, but thankfully Capcom decided to bring it to the latest consoles in glorious high definition in a way that brings life to the Spencer Mansion like never before. What sets this apart from the recent Resident Evil releases is the return to the pre-rendered backdrops the series was widely known for, and personally I prefer Resident Evil when presented like this, featuring new gameplay mechanics, revised puzzles, additional explorable areas, a revised script and an entire subplot that was cut from the original PlayStation game. The remake has gone on to become the best, scariest and visually impressive entries in the series. The atmosphere present in the game is overwhelming. The game's music only adds to the tension as you explore the derelict mansion and uncover some disturbing secrets about the location. Originally released for Sony's underdog handheld, the PlayStation Vita, Gravity Rush is a game all about the manipulation of gravity. The game is set in the floating city of Hexville and depicts the struggle of the main character Kat, who is struggling with regaining her memories. Upon encountering a mysterious cat named Dusty, she is endowed with the power to control gravity. It's your job to protect the people of the world from the threat of a gravity storm which has brought monsters with it. The story is a great experience, but the gameplay is where Gravity Rush excels. The gravity controlling mechanic can be used to fly through the air, to walk on walls, and can also be utilized within the game's combat sequences that all add up to one of the most inventive and fun mechanics in a game I've ever played. The game is open world in nature, so expect a buttload of side quests that complement the main campaign, as well as a well thought out leveling up system that will see Kat receive many upgrades throughout the duration of the story. If you've played the game on the Vita before, this remastered version still warrants a purchase. The transition to the big screen has done the game a world of good and should definitely be one to add to your library. The fourth entry in Naughty Dog's Indiana Jones simulator saw our hero Nathan Drake called back into action one last time. We find Nathan working a job for a salvage company and living out his life with Elena after the events of the previous game. Uncharted 4 introduces Nathan's brother Sam into the story, and without spoiling anything, the game manages to hit some truly emotional highs and offers a respectful send-off for one of the most prolific characters in recent years. The gameplay remains tight as you would expect from the franchise, but instead of just throwing enemy after enemy at the player, the game opens up to offering a more stealthy option, allowing you to clear out sections without alerting the enemy. It was nice to see Uncharted 4 take this route, as admittedly the combat within the series was beginning to come a bit stale. Visually, this game is nothing short of incredible and really showcases what Sony's black box of joy is capable of. The huge, impressive vistas demand to be taken in as you make your way through the campaign, but it's the little details scattered around that will really help draw you into one of the best looking games to date. Originally released on the PlayStation 3 and brought to us by Naughty Dog, The Last of Us quickly became one of the platform's most celebrated titles. Taking place in the near future, the world has succumbed to an outbreak of a mutant fungus that transforms people into crazy-ass cannibals known as the Infected. You take control of Joel, who works as a smuggler throughout the city's quarantine zones. You are tasked with the smuggling of a teenage girl to a group called the Fireflies. The story is one of the game's greatest strengths, as well as the gameplay, which mainly focuses around stealth. The lack of ammo and relying on crafted weapons from the many parts you find strewn around the game's world all help depict a feeling of isolation, a feeling of overwhelming odds that really helps sell the premise of the game and its depiction of a post-apocalyptic world. The beautiful music score elevates the action on screen to emotional highs rarely seen in games and hammers home the more somber tone of the situation. Even if you've already played it on the PlayStation 3, there is more than enough here that warrants another purchase. If you've been watching the show for some time, you'll undoubtedly know how much I love the Metal Gear series, but ultimately how disappointed I was with the Phantom Pain. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say this game is a complete pile of wank, as it's on this list for a reason. As much as I dislike the choices with the game's story, you cannot deny that MGS5 offers what is quite possibly the most enjoyable and intricate stealth experience available today, offering true freedom to approach missions in any way you see fit, may that be creeping in the dead of night when enemy patrols are likely to be sparse, or going all Rambo and fucking shit up instead. The game has got you covered. As mentioned earlier, if you're a long-time fan of the series, there are some questionable decisions with the game's ending, but overall I found the story quite enjoyable, but just not hitting the heights that the series is used to. That probably has something to do with our good pals Konami, that went as far as to isolate the game's director from his team for the last months of development. I mean, who the fuck does that? fuck, and it shows in the game, as the later missions are just repeats of earlier objectives with different conditions. It took me out of the experience, and as a result made everything feel disconnected. Ignoring that aspect of the game though, MGS5 deserves a place in your library, and truly is a must-have. After what seemed like an impossible wait, The Last Guardian is finally here and lives up to the hype that had been building for nearly a decade. Developed by Gen Design and directed by Fumito Ueda, the game is nothing short of a masterpiece and manages to reach the same heights of its predecessors Ico and Shadow of the Colossus. I won't go into the story too much, as I feel it's something that must be experienced yourself. The game revolves around the relationship between a boy and a cat/bird named Trico. The game touches on the themes of isolation, companionship and sacrifice, as the bond between both of them grows throughout the duration of the quest. Watching Trico transform from a scared beast into an immensely loyal protector is one of the highlights of this generation and should not be missed. You take control of the boy, as you do not have complete control over Trico, but instead have the ability to command him with various prompts that will help guide him through the world. The Last Guardian puts the hand-holding companionship of Ico well and firmly with the beast climbing of Shadow of the Colossus, and what you get is a sort of hybrid of the two aspects that made up the first two games, and it's nothing short of beautiful. Well, that was it guys. As always, thanks for taking the time to check the video out. There's going to be a few more videos on the PlayStation 4 coming up. I will see you next time.